Hey all, and welcome back to Fuzzy Ducks Gaming and a new video, possibly series of videos on the channel. Going over a new farming strategy I'm going to try. This is something I wanted to do live on Twitch, but I'm not going to have the time to do it because I'm just going to be playing a couple of hours in the evening and it won't be uninterrupted gameplay. What we're looking to do, I say, is do some invitation farming. I did some destructive play farming at the beginning of the league and I've still got lots of maps left to use, and sets sell for an absolute ton, and so do Maven writs. So if we take these 4 Conqueror maps as an example, you'll run these maps just from the Cirrus fragments alone. It's 1.5 divines. Then whatever else you might get dropped from them. If you then get the invitation, you can run that. You're going to get half a Maven's writ and probably some more fragments as well. Then we'll go through and do the Elder ones, and then we'll go through and do the Shaper ones. It's just really, really good money if you've got a build that can get the bosses down really quickly. I don't know how much it's going to be. It's probably no more profitable than other strategies, but it just breaks the norm and gives me something a bit different to do. So this strategy is a strategy that's self-sustaining. You'll have all the boss maps and all the invitations that you need. You may need to buy the odd invitation or run the extra Guardian or Conqueror map to get one to drop, because in my experience, you will not get one drop every 4 maps, but it seems to be every 5 or 6. If you don't have any Guardian or Conqueror maps and you want to do this setup, you would still do the exact same Atlas tree, but instead of running your boss maps, you're doing destructive play, which is Maven influence on the map device. So the way this works, you'll obviously need to run 10 different maps. So what I do is favorite 10 maps that I like to run, and I link them together. So you can see if we go to Atoll over here that I've favorited, I also have Promenade favorited because they're next to each other. So you're more likely to get a Promenade drop than other maps because they're linked and favorited when you run your Atoll, and vice versa. It doesn't always work that way, but it's just the best way to make sure you don't have to run horrible maps. And then all you're doing is putting your map in, putting the Maven of Influence on, you run to the boss, kill the Essence on the way, kill the boss, pick up whatever drops. You'll drop an absolute ton of Guardian and Conqueror maps. And then once you've got a supply of, maybe you can do 2 to 3 rotations of a Conqueror, you can then just go and run your Conqueror maps instead. And then when you run out, you can go back to destructive play. And that's kind of the way you would do it. The reason I've got so many maps is because I forgot to sell the last lot of loot that I did from my destructive play. So I had lots of excess maps so I could go straight into stage 2. But essentially, if you wanted to do this as an overall strategy, you do destructive play first, just doing normal maps. Then when you've built up lots of Guardians and Conqueror maps, you'll then go and do the maps and then do the invitations that drop from them. And then you just repeat the cycle. All of them are really good money, but the further you get up the chain, the better money that you make. You do have the options of just buying the maps, but I honestly think you're better running it yourself, because you can get decent stuff from the 10 ways. As you'll see when we go through the footage, I will spoil it a little bit. I get an awakened elemental damage with attacks drop from a 10 way, and that's almost 7 divines. Now, I'm not saying you're guaranteed to get it, but you can get decent stuff drop from those 10 ways, including Orbs of Conflict that drop fairly commonly. So if you wanted to do it from the start and you didn't have any boss maps, that's how you would do it. It's destructive play, then your boss maps, then your invitations. I will explain very quickly what destructive play is for people that may not have done it before, because a lot of people just stick with the red or the blue altars. Destructive play is this keystone here, and it says Maven casts up the stakes, summoning 1 to 3 additional bosses when witnessing the map boss. So essentially this means once you take the map boss on, she will say something like up the stakes, and then more map bosses will spawn and you kill all the map bosses. The important part of this is modifiers to the final map boss in each map apply to the summoned bosses as well. So where we've got extra chance to drop a Conqueror map, 3% chance to drop a Guardian map, and then 1.5% chance to drop a Synth map, these will get applied to every single boss. So you're essentially, say she spawns 3 extra bosses and you've got 4 bosses, you're getting 4 times the likelihood of getting those maps dropped from those bosses. It's just really, really good, and you will drop an absolute ton of maps. These videos are going to be highlight videos, and then at the end of however many videos I do, we'll go through how much currency we made. It's not going to be per hour or anything like that, because I'm not going to be meticulously tracking it. I just want to get an idea of how much I can earn. So if we quickly check Discord, we can see here that in terms of sets, Maven writs are instantly selling for 2.8 divines. Cirrus sets, if you've got a lot of them, can sell really, really quickly. So this guy here has sold 35 sets for 52.5 divines, but they're about a divine and a half each for a Cirrus set. So everything that drops from farming these maps is quite big money, and the quicker I can do them, the more I'm going to make. So because of that, the Atlas tree is quite simple. I don't want anything that's going to slow me down. So all I'm taking is essences, blocking everything else, and then we just take in the map drop chances, the quantum rarity wheel in the middle, and then obviously all of these invitation drop nodes along with destructive play. because if we do run out of Conqueror maps, Guardian maps, and Shaper maps, I'll just go back and start destructive play farming, because you drop a lot of boss maps from this, and that will then get me the supply I need to carry on this sort of strategy. So I'll just jump straight into the highlights, and then I'll catch you at the end of the video. I'm running my kinetic bolt build that I've just brought a video out for, but I've actually totally changed it. I just found it was too squishy, so I've actually dropped a couple of items and switched them around so we can get some Fizz taken as Ellie and just some more defenses into the build. Nice. Not getting an Elder Slayer's drop. This is a really nice set of maps. 2 messes and a strand involved. This is going to be super quick to get these done. So we'll just bring up Map Watch very quickly. Just have a look at what sort of time we're taking on these. So yeah, they were super quick. Like a minute each on average. So it's going to be a lot longer when you've got worse layouts. But yeah, this can be a super quick farming strategy by the looks of it. So happy with that. So we're through that first set already, and we had an invitation drop, which is nice. So we'll go and run this. I'm trying to get them 75 or 70% quant. Really, I don't want to spend too much re-rolling them, because you can spend like 20 to 30 cows each invitation just to get some quantity on them, and it's not really worth it. And the amount of splinters you get seems to be pretty random, but obviously the more you roll it, the more chance you get of getting fragments and things like that. So let's stick all this loot back into our stash. Don't really want minus max res. So some of that 71% looks pretty decent. Reduced effect of non-cursor or some skills is actually probably a bit of a brick. 55% is not high enough. 71 is good. That's okay. No leech isn't amazing, but it's doable. I thought he was dead. I didn't realise I hadn't killed him yet. I really hate Baron in this. Okay, job done. That was nice and easy. So we've got an Orb of Conflict. Decent. 5 Crescent Splinters. Awakened Lightning Pen, I assume, is worth nothing. Veritage's Crest. And then an Elder Map. That was actually a really good set of loot. When you consider what you get out of that, it's pretty decent. I'm assuming we'll quickly awaken trade. That Lightning Pen is pretty poor, but we'll have a quick look. Oh no, well, I thought it'd be about 10C, but 35C, it looks like that's not too bad. Cheers, Maven, you're the best. What on earth is she so tanky for? We just got super lucky there. I didn't even know you could drop these from those. Awakened early damage with attacks. Seems like a high tier one. I don't think you could drop them from these, but you can. So that is an awesome drop. There are the Hydra map, Delirium Orb map. Eyes of the Great Wolf. I don't know if something with... Oh, that could actually be good. You might fluke a divine for it. So let's just check the exact rolls. 52, 54. No. So it looks like it's worth something, but probably didn't need to be a swing sound. But never mind. Let's check out Awakened Early damage with attacks. Yeah, 7 divine. So that was just from the 10 way that I happened to complete because I was doing Conqueror Map. So that's very, very nice indeed. So straight into the stash we go. I mean, I could nitpick and say I didn't get my 2 splinters, but we definitely cannot complain very much about that. So before we move on, I thought I would just check my div card stash because I did some of this earlier in the league as well. So I thought I'd have some div cards built up, and we do. We've got 2 synth map turn-ins and 10 deli orbs, and then 1 single delirium orb. So we'll go and cash these in with Lily and see what happens. Just hoping for a Cortex. We didn't get one, but that's fine. These maps are kind of like everything else, just worth money. So these are, yeah, 40C each. So nothing to sniff at. So we'll go and put these in along with the rest of the loot. And we have run out of our Hesiod maps, unfortunately. So we're going to be on to something else. So if we have a look in my map tab, we've got 1 Drox, 3 Baron, 8 Redeemer, and 0 Hunter. So we'll go on to something else, probably go and do some Elder Guardians. And then once we get our Conqueror maps filled up again, we'll go back to them. These are definitely ones I want to be running. They're the quickest and they're the most profit. Then I'll probably do Elder just because I absolutely hate Chimera. And then we'll go on and do the Shaper maps last if I have to. And then once we build up our frags, I'll then probably sell them. I was thinking of running these for Uber Elder fragments, but I don't really want to do Uber Shaper. And if you're not doing Uber Shaper, you're kind of gimping yourself on potential drops. So I think we will just sell all of the fragments when it comes around to it. Nice, waiting for that drop. So now we've got another invitation that we can do. Oh, didn't even realise I dropped another synth map in that as well. Very nice. Feared. I mean, we could do a feared later, I guess, because I thought, oh, there's bosses here. I'm not paying attention. Ooh. Nice. Double boss map and another synth map. Yeah, we could do the feared. It just means I have to go and buy a troller and I'll probably have to buy the 0 frags as well, but it's probably worth it for the loot that you might get out of it. So it's something we can consider, but that'll probably come in the second video. Okay, 68% looks not too bad, so we'll go and run that. Ooh, just got him in time because we definitely can't take a hit from that. Damn, he phased out. There we go. Didn't get anything. I'm not even picking that map up because it's just an influence map. That was pretty bad loot. I mean, we got our 5 splinters, but that's all we got from value from that, which is a shame. Got another Thorned invitation. This one's pretty juicy at 87%. And doesn't actually look that bad at all other than an extra prod. So we will give this one a go. Hope for some nice drops. Oh, didn't mean to go out of there. And it was bad again. I do not really fully understand quant on it. Maybe it just gives a load of rubbish rares that gets hidden. But yeah, again, that was pretty disappointing invitation. Right, I think we're about done for today. I have one twisted invitation to do that we have filled up, I think. We do, so I'll go and run this, and then we'll just have a look at the loot, and then we'll get some stuff sold. Why is he insanely tanky? Oh, because he's up in the air. Yeah, not the worst, I suppose. Not great. So we'll go and stash the loot, and then we'll just go over kind of what we've got, and we'll try and do a little bit of selling just to demonstrate that side of things as well. So I managed to sell pretty much all the loot I wanted to. I'll always keep a few things. I don't necessarily sell everything. If there's something I might need in the next few days, I'll keep hold of it unless it's worth a mega currency and might fluctuate. So I sold the Orb of Dominance. I had 2 Orbs of Conflict that I sold. I've sold all of the Awakened Gems. I think I've just got 1 Conqueror Orb to sell, which will sell no problem. It's just there wasn't anyone needing them at the time. In terms of my Cortexes, I had 5, and they're worth 1.4 each. In bulk, I probably could have got more than 1.4 each, but I just wanted them gone. So I bulk listed them for 5 Cortexes for 7 Divines, and they sold instantly. With my Maven's Writ and my Cirrus Frags, I decided to post them onto TFT just to sell them all in bulk rather than have to worry about people wanting to buy individual things. The sets of the Cirrus Frags are also a bit hard to sell on trade. So originally with the Cirrus Frags, I put them up for 1.5. They didn't sell. So then when I could relist, I did them for 1.45 and they sold instantly. So I sold the 10 Cirrus sets for 14.5 Divines. And then I sold the Maven sets for around 22 Divines for 8 invitations. They're essentially 1.7 per invitation. And as you can see from the footage, as soon as I put them up, there were people waiting for those to come on the market and whisper me instantly. They both came to my hideout, sold straight away. So overall, all of this loot took about 5 minutes to sell, and it was very pain-free. If you don't like using TFT or not part of TFT, the Maven Writs are super easy to sell because you can just list them in trade for the bulk price that I sold them for, and I'm pretty sure they would sell just as quick. As I say, with things like full sets, they are much easier to sell on TFT, and it is a breeze to use. I don't use it for services or anything like that. I just use it to sell and buy stuff in bulk because it's much easier than dealing with hundreds of people that don't get back to you on trade or having to buy things in numerous different little amounts. So overall, I'm really happy with the currency I made from this strategy. Obviously, some stuff was left over from before. I didn't farm all of those 10 Cirrus sets today. This was just the point where I decided to get everything sold. So that's kind of it for this video. I decided to do a slightly different style this time rather than just me saying this is a strategy, this is what I did, here's the currency. I thought I'd try and mix in some live play at the same time. Just let me know whether you like this kind of video, whether you'd just rather a straight up tutorial type video. But this kind of strategy is very hard to quantify because a lot of it does rely on how lucky you are with drops for things like invitations and maps. But in terms of the bare minimum, if you self-sustain your maps and your invitations, Your serious rotation gets you a guaranteed 2.85 divines minimum, and that's if you have nothing else drop other than your 4 serious fragments and your 5 minimum maven splinters from the encounter. Your elder rotation is 1.8 divines minimum, and your shaper rotation is 1.55. Then you've got all the things on top of that you drop, like Orbs of Conflict, Orbs of Dominance, Awakened Gems, boss maps to self-sustain. You may even get extra in some scenarios. The one thing I will say for these sort of strategies is you will very unlikely sustain your invitations. In my experience, you get an invitation drop about every 5 or 6 boss maps that you do. So you either buy a few extra ones, or if you've got extra maps of a particular Conqueror, Shaper, or Guardian, you can run those. You're going to get the frag drop anyway that's worth currency. Then when you get your invitation drop, you can run that, and then you can start your rotation again. As I said, you don't have to go all the way through the whole rotation, but the further you go, the more money you make. What I did at the beginning of the league, because I wasn't really able to run the invitations quickly, is I did run the Conqueror maps, but I stopped there, and then I sold the Conqueror frags and the invitations, and you still make good money. It's not going to be as much because you're missing out on big drops that you might get from the invitations, but the actual invitations are worth an absolute ton. Like the formed, when I checked it out, was about 1.2 to 1.3 divine. So even if you wanted to do this strat and just sell all of your frags that you get at the end from the boss maps and all of your invitations, that works perfectly fine. You can just go one step before that and just sell all the boss maps and don't touch them. But invitations are big money, and I'd always recommend you run the maps because the fragments are actually, last time I checked, worth more than the maps. So that's definitely the way I would go. If you're unable to just even do Conqueror maps, then this probably isn't the right strategy to play. But this stage of the league, I think most builds should be capable of doing that. I was going to make this a 2-part series, but I think I've covered all I want to do for this sort of strategy. So the next video is either going to be another video like this with a different strategy, with a bit of live gameplay, examples of selling, examples of maps, or it might be another build. I'm going to respec my level 100 Lightning Strike character into something else, either Deadeye, Pathfinder, or Raider. But I'm not sure what it is yet and whether that is the next thing that I do. Thank you very much for watching. Take care and see you in the next one.